How's it going, boys? Welcome back to the channel. We got more work on the Civic, of course. We actually finally have an AEM air fuel ratio gauge that we have to wire into the HONDATA. Basically red and black power ground, then we have a white and brown wire. Brown is like basically another ground, and white is going to tap into the pin D14, which is the stock O2 sensor, and then I'm going to replace the stock narrowband O2 sensor for this AEM wideband sensor. I also got T-taps to be able to wire this in. I'm just gonna tap into it so we could still use the stock O2. We just have to, you know, screw it back into the pipe and then plug it back in and it'll work. And then I still have the stock ECU as well. But I also finally got my Dremel in the mail as well. And as you guys know, if you've been following the channel, when we put our new catch can in, we're gonna need to shave some of the stock radiator fan shroud away in order for the overflow to fit in between the big ass stock fan shroud and the new catch can. So that's gotta get done. This has gotta get done. It's probably not all gonna get done in this video, but we're gonna see what we can do.
All right, let's take a peek at this AFR gauge, just see what we get, see what it comes with. Rip this thing open. Boom, so here we have the gauge itself. Obviously you're gonna be able to tell the AFRs. And then we have a huge, just a huge thick boy manual. And then this is what we're gonna need. So basically this plug is going to plug into the back of the gauge. And then these wires here, we're gonna need a red, black, brown, and white to wire into the ECU wires. And then this essentially goes to the other port. You see on the AFR how there's two different ports. One of them is for this harness that's going to the ECU, and the other one is for this harness, which is going to the O2 sensor. So if you see this big clip is an O2 sensor clip, a female, and then that's going to plug into the gauge. And then down here we have our Bosch LSU O2 sensor. That's just going to plug into that. This is going to thread into my pipe. This is going to plug into the gauge. This one's gonna plug into the gauge and get wired to the ECU. It is honestly pretty straightforward. I don't even think we're gonna need the manual. And then in theory, we should be running off a wideband, but there's one thing I forgot, and that's to bring my laptop in order to configure this situation. Oh boy. Couple more things, boys. I got lent this timing light, but it's not an advanced timing light, so you can't set it to anything. And I'm not too sure how to set it at 16 degrees without setting the gun at 16 degrees because of the 3 dash marks. It wouldn't. I wouldn't be confident that it would be exactly 16. I'm sure I could get it close, but I wouldn't be confident it's exactly 16. So we do have to set the base timing in order to use the AEM AFR gauge to be true 1-to-1, and whatever you input on HONDATA actually means what it's supposed to mean. Because the engine isn't at 16 degrees, we're hooped. We are going to go ahead and get an advanced timing light gun with a dial we can set at 16 degrees so we can set the timing. Here I got the little wiring kit for the AFR gauge. Wi-Fi is pretty good stuff. I've used them before, but these are the T-taps I'm talking about. You just lay the wire right down the middle, clamp it right on there, and it'll like cut the wire a little bit, just the shield, so it can make contact. And then you'd shove a spade in the back there, so that wire you snipped still has full continuity, and the wire you're adding does as well. And then it comes with the corresponding spades for the different size right there. And that's kind of the easiest way to install an AFR gauge, is with these T-taps. We can finally start marking some stuff off the list too. We did the vented cap, and we ordered the line to get the vented cap and everything working, which if you haven't seen, go ahead and check out that video. AFR gauge, cut, rad, fan. Okay, boom. Added something, crossed one thing off, added a couple more things, and away we go. Okay, what I quickly want to do is just paint this purple shit, the overflow and the rad stay black. So I'm just gonna hit it with primer, then hit it with black, and it should be good to go, because I want to get rid of all the purple on the engine bay once and for all. So I have the rad stay off, the overflow off. Now I have this oxygen sensor wire that's going to go through this grommet right back there where we added in the VTEC and the fan switch. And the O2 is really hard to see, but it's just behind there. So I can go ahead and disconnect it, but I'm not going to do it today. I'm just going to let this end kind of dangle right here and feed this through the grommet and see where it comes out on the other side. Well, while the primer's resting up on this, I'm going to give it another scuff and then hit it with black, and then that'll be black, and this will be black. Got to take the Dremel and just trim away a little bit of the shroud.
Got the new Dremel, by the way. Gotta trim some of this shroud away so that the overflow bottle can fit on the newly painted stay, and then it'll be heading inside the car to do some more wiring with the AFR gauge. Okay boys, we are down here with the HONDATA, and right under the glove box is where those wires are coming through. So that's where my AFR gauge wire is gonna come through to run to the gauge, as well as, actually no, the only one coming through there is the O2 sensor wiring to go to the gauge. So I'm gonna run it through there, and then I got the HONDATA here, which I still need the level 7 bracket for, but then we can wire it up through there, which I think I might save for a different day, simply because I don't have my laptop and I won't be able to tell if anything worked. So this is the wire that needs to go from the engine bay to the inside of the car, right here. So this is going to stay in the engine bay, and this little cable is going to pass through right there with those other two loomed wires. Now let's see if I'm capable enough of doing this myself. It's gone through. Hey! And there it is. Beautiful. So there it is, coming right through the grommet with my VTEC wires and everything like that. So this one is gonna go right to the back of the gauge. So actually, we can do that right now as well. Now that is clipped in, and that goes to the oxygen sensor. Now, our other wire that clips in here is this wiring harness. So this will clip into here, and then that gets wired into the HONDATA ECU. So let's open this up, clip this in, and see how it looks. So I actually love these AEM gauges because they just have this little bar with two nice little thumb screws, and I just fastened it through my little holder here. It's kind of weird because it's so much bigger and fatter than my other gauges, but so be it. Now I'm gonna plug it in behind the dash as well as this cable and run them behind the dash and to come out right here. I'm gonna do that off camera because this is a tiny car and I'm huge, and this just doesn't work with the camera. So I'm gonna connect these two wires behind the dash, and they're gonna trail down to right here. I had to take this little piece out and it was much easier to run them, but now I got both of the cables coming through there. We're gonna connect it to the gauge, pop it back in, pop this little center console thing back in, and then I'll have one cable from this gauge going to the engine bay all nice and tucked, and one going to open wires that I need to splice into the ECU nice and tucked up. So let's go ahead and put this all back together. We should be by the way, we are left with two things. We have this wire here that needs to get wired into those wires there coming out of the ECU via T-taps that I have right here. And then the other wire, this wire, is in the engine bay. That's gonna go to the actual wideband oxygen sensor that this came with, and it is the UEGO, so it comes with a new Bosch LSU sensor. There we go. Okay, so these are looking pretty good. They are all primed, and now it's time to hit them with some black. They actually came out pretty decent. I'm not mad with that at all. Time to hit them with some black, and then these will be ready to get installed back into the car. First coat of black done. I got my slick new Dremel with the wand attachment, which is super dope. So, got it here. And then we're just gonna grind that away. Okay, so far I'm just gonna do a little bit of a recap because this video's kind of been all over the place. We have the AFR gauge in the dash with the cables tucked behind the dash, one of them going out into the engine bay through a firewall grommet to the oxygen sensor that's not installed yet, and another that's ran behind the dash and waiting to get wired into the ECU. Then I busted out the new Dremel with the wand attachment and ground down a little bit of the radiator shroud. I don't know how much more to do, or I don't know if I've done too much already, because we are priming and painting the radiator overflow bracket as well as the radiator bracket. Let's check those out. Boom! So they're coming out pretty good here. I think it's about time for another coat of this black. So let's get this shooken up, spray another coat. Well, the paint can just exploded on me trying to take the lid off. Never had that happen before, but just happened. So now we are on to a different make, model, brand, company, black spray paint, but it's gonna work, I don't care. It's 2 little pieces, as long as they're black, out of sight, out of mind. You're done. Moving back up to the engine bay. Quite a bit of this is ground down now, which is nice, but I can't tell how much more to go until black is done on the stay out there. Here's the rest of the AFR gauge for the oxygen sensor. It's really easy because the O2 sensor is, you can literally see it right there. So I just need to unthread that, thread in the new one, plug it into there, and then that's connected. And then we just got to wire the rest of the wires into the ECU right there. But I'm gonna put this down, go get some lunch, and finish up painting, and we'll be back. Corey,
yo, what's up?
what do we got going on, dude?
Just trying to get this hooked up, but I don't have the connection. Actually, honestly, just trying to. I stupidly used the same color, so I don't know which one's positive.
Plug and play time.
Yeah, so otherwise I'm taking the loom off and doing it that way, but I'm just trying to get.
But the third brake light works now, right?
Yeah, it totally does.
Dang, Corey's got the third brake light.
Totally, just making a better connection. That's all.
Wait, is this
But
mine? Are these mine?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, we just bought a new set. I knew I had a good set.
Yeah,
What
we had
the
a decent one at the shop. That's why I
just
was
buy
like,
another
just bring it to the
set.
shop.
Oh, these are now painted and dried. We got a black rad stay and a black. Okay, so now that we have the rad stay and the overflow stay on, let's go ahead and drop this overflow in. Oh God, it really doesn't want to go fucking anywhere. Son of a bitch. Alrighty, so with this radiator stay on and the overflow stay on, this will not fit in. It needs to push the radiator over and push this over a bit to clear. So what we can do is we can get E-fans to put on here, or I can trim a ton of this away and not use the rad stay because it will hold itself in place. When I take this off, it does in turn fit. This was a really shitty location for it, but if you guys didn't watch the install video, there's nowhere else we could put it, plain and simple. So I'm gonna leave this for next time, as well as the rest of the AFR gauge. Comment, like, and subscribe, and come back to next week where we finally figure out how we make this radiator overflow work and get that wideband fully installed with the laptop, plugging away some numbers on HONDATA. But until then, boys, comment, like, subscribe. We'll catch you guys in the next one.